I started this video and I thought I started it and I didn't, and I went through half of it, and now I gotta start all over. I stole this from Grandma Bev. It's 50 things that were considered polite 50 years ago, and she got it from an article written by Jenna Jury. So I'll link her video below. You can go watch what she has to say about it, and this is what I have to say about it. And I got down to like 20 something and realized the film wasn't filming, so now I have to talk all over again. Children addressing adults as Mr., Mrs., or Miss, Mrs., or Mr. Like you wouldn't call me Pat, you would call me Mrs. Lobus. You hear that more in the South, but you don't hear that much. It's like, like the teachers. Well, my kids, I live in the South, and my kids went to a private Christian school, and they would call their teacher Mrs. Parker or whatever. So it still does happen. Men standing when a woman leaves the table. You don't see that anymore. I haven't seen that in many, 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 many years. A man pulling the chair out for a woman. Yeah, I wish they'd still do that. I go once a month to this grandparents' thing, and it's at a country club, and they've got these big old heavy chairs, and it's hard getting those chairs in and out and scooted up to the table. It'd be nice if somebody push it in and out for you. Excusing oneself from the table. When I was a kid, you would say at the end of the meal, "May I be excused?" And sometimes your parents would say yes, and sometimes they would say no. Sometimes they want you to wait till everybody was done, or they had a family thing they wanted to discuss. You just didn't get up and leave. Even if you had to go to the bathroom, you'd say, "Maybe I excused to go to the bathroom," or whatever. You just didn't wander off. Written, formal, handwritten, written, formal, handwritten. That's redundant. Invitations. You hardly see an invitation anymore except for a wedding, and you never see a handwritten invitation. Don't see handwritten anything anymore. I'll be starting and stopping this because I'm still coughing. Let's see, taking hats off at the table. Yeah, you go to a restaurant or wherever, and everybody's got baseball caps on at the table, and that was just not done back in the day. Not wearing a hat at church. Men did not wear hats at church, any kind of hat. And women always, especially, well, not always, but in Catholics, women always wore hats. Females did, even little girls. Or like a little lace doily thing on your head or whatever. But I didn't go to church growing up, but I wasn't Catholic, but I'd seen my little Catholic friends doing that. Let's see. Waiting for everyone to be served before eating. I still do that unless they're saying, don't let your food get cold. Mine's not here yet. Go ahead and eat. Then I might. But for the most part, I wait till everybody's got their food and we say grace and then we eat. Let's see. This you don't see. I can't think of the last time I've seen this. It used to be, here's the building, here's the woman, here's the man, and then there's the street. The man always walked on the street side when he and the woman were walking together to protect her in case a car splashed or jumped a curb or whatever. He was protecting the woman. You don't see that anymore, ever. Unless it's just by accident. Let's see. You didn't answer your phone during meals? Nope, never. But one thing I can say, that when I lived with my kids and grandkids, we actually ate meals at the table, and we didn't allow cell phones at the table. So, turn the TV off during meals. We pretty much did that too. Sometimes on a weekend night, like Friday or Saturday, we'd maybe watch a movie as a family or a show as a family and eat in front of the TV. But for the most part, we ate dinner at the table with no phones and no TV, even till just a few years ago when I moved back here and kids all started going their separate ways, working and stuff. So I was proud that my kids still held to that. I think my other son and his family did that too. I didn't live with them, so I don't know as much, but I think they did. Offering your seat to a woman, a pregnant woman, or the elderly, like on a bus or train or whatever. When I lived in Japan, they actually had guys with white gloves. His job was to shove people in so the doors could close on their trains. They had there was seats down like this, and then people all crammed standing up in the middle. And I can remember this woman, she was pregnant and carrying another kid on her back or something, and these guys, all these guys in their little business suits, just sitting there, just letting her sway and try and stay up. And I got my point across. I didn't speak very good Japanese, but I got my point across, and I finally got one of them to get up and give his seat to that pregnant woman. I thought that was just disgraceful. I still think it is. And now that I'm old, I would appreciate somebody getting up and giving me their seat too. Hold the door open for the person behind you. I think people still do that for the most part. That's just common courtesy, especially if they've got something in their hands. I mean, what are you going to do? Let it go and let it slam in their face? That's ridiculous. Call first before showing up at somebody's house. Yeah, I don't maybe call, I text, but even today, I don't think most people just show up at people's houses. Maybe teenagers would, but even them, I think they text. I mean, I just think that's rude, and I don't think people do that much. Let's see. Well, this one, I don't know. Answer your phone, even if you don't know who it is. I never answer my phone unless it comes up with a name. Let them leave a message. If your name's not in my phone book, my contacts, I'm not answering it. Unless I'm expecting a call back from a doctor or a lab or something, and then you don't know where that number is, then I might answer it, and then I regret it because it's some salesperson. But for the most part, nope, nobody does that anymore. Call back after a missed phone call. Again, I'm not doing that either unless they leave a message. I'm not calling back some random number that I don't know who they are. Too many scammers and crazy stuff out there now. Children waiting to be spoken to. Yeah, there was the old children to be seen and not heard. Now kids are butting in adult conversations all the time, and that was not allowed when I was growing up. That was unacceptable. Calling a person ma'am or sir. You see that all the time in the South. Maybe not so much in the North. Oh, hush, Haku. Haku, come here. He's in the front windowsill watching somebody walk by, I'm sure. Wearing black to a funeral. I still either wear black or a dark color to a funeral. I know I wore a black dress to my sister's memorial. I don't think that's common anymore, but maybe in my generation it is, but the two generations behind me, not so much. Sending out thank you cards. I wouldn't expect that, but what annoys me is if you send somebody something and they never even acknowledge it, like you send them something in the mail and you don't know if they got it or not. I mean, it's all you do is shoot a text, say, got the package, thanks. That's all you have to say. Otherwise, you got to text them and say, did you get that package I sent you? And then you're it's almost like you're begging for them to thank you, and that's not it. You just want to make sure it got there okay. And plus, I think it's really rude not to at least acknowledge. Somebody took the time to pack something up, pick it out just for you, send it to you, and you don't even acknowledge it. That's pretty rude. Allow ladies to go first. Not sure what they mean by that. Go first where? Knocking before entering a room. Yeah, I've seen some things I didn't want to see by just opening a door. So yeah, you always knock before you're even on a kid's door. If the door is closed, knock. Address a person formally during correspondence. What correspondence? Nobody corresponds anymore. But if you're doing like say you're sending out a resume is like, you'd say something like, "Dear sir," or "madam," something like that. You wouldn't just say, "Hey, hi there." Send an RSVP on time. Yeah, I mean, people planning weddings or whatever party, they got to know a head count, so don't be a lollygagger. Get that thing in there so they can get a head count pretty quickly. This one's a sore point for me still after, God, how long ago was this? 68. So what's that? 56 years ago? I think something like that. I'd gotten married. My husband went to Japan. This was Vietnam years. He was in the Air Force stationed in Japan. And after 3 months, I went to join him. And my mother-in-law took me to the airport, and she had me wearing, I still remember it was this navy blue dress, hose, I don't even remember if they had pantyhose back then, heels, and white gloves on this plane ride, a 26-hour plane ride. But she insisted that's how a lady dressed for a plane flight. Ugh, that was so brutal. By the time I came back, it was jeans and T-shirts, but that was 4 years later, and I was the one doing the picking, and I had a baby, so yeah, that one never happening again. Being on time for events, that is a stickler with me. I try and be at least 10 minutes early. I mean, people that think as long as you're no more than 15 minutes late, you're not late. No, wrong. As long as you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. I just think it's rude to be late to things. It's like your time's more important than their time. Offering to help someone put on a coat. Sometimes you're trying to get that on and just walk up behind them and pull it up for them. That's just polite. I mean, maybe not some perfect stranger, unless it was like a little old lady and you're a woman, then yeah, maybe, but it just depends on the situation, I guess. Try and keep your attention undivided when you're talking to someone, listening to them. Sometimes that's hard because they get off on these tangents and they're going on, and your eyes are starting to glaze over. Or you're listening and trying to find a place to put a comment in. But for the most part, I try and pay close attention to what they're saying and not be thinking about what I'm going to reply back, because then you're not being kind. You're just thinking about yourself. Let's see. Ask someone if they mind if you... I can't read my writing. Oh, there's another one, addressed by last name. We kind of went over that. If it's Mr. and Mrs., there's a last name involved. Ask someone if they mind if you... I can't read what that says. It looks like it's snack, but that can't be it. I don't know what that one was. I can't read my handwriting. Oh, quietly tip a serving. There used to be where they just kind of slip money to the server. Now it's like you just write it on your bill thing, or leave it on the table for the whole world to see. It wasn't a quiet slip it in their hand when nobody's looking thing. Let's see. Dress up for dinner. I mean, I think they're talking about at your home. Nobody does that anymore. I mean, when you go out, yeah, I'll dress a little better than bumming around the house. But at my own home, change my clothes for dinner? No, nobody's done that. And we didn't even do that when I was a kid, 50, 60 years ago. So that's a hoity-toity rich person thing from 100 years ago, I think. I don't think nobody does that and hasn't done that in a really long time. Wait for someone to introduce you at a social event. Actually, that's kind of nice because even if you know the person, if somebody else introduces you, you might get a refresh on that name that you've forgotten. I used to sing in the choir, and I knew all the altos' names because I was an alto, but those sopranos over there, I was in that choir like 8 years, and I still didn't know half those people's names because you reach a certain point where you can't admit you don't know their name. It's too late, you know? You have to do that early on. Oh, I didn't catch your name. You can't, like 2 years into it, say, you know, I never knew your name. just can't do that. That's hurt somebody's feelings. So, yeah, I've never been real good with names. Bring a new neighbor food. I've done that a couple times in my adult life, but not that often. There used to be this thing, I don't know if y'all remember it, there used to be this thing called the welcome wagon. And it was put on by the Chamber of Commerce mostly. And when you'd move new to a neighborhood, they'd come and it'd be a basket and it would have coupons for different local restaurants or stores, and sometimes have some little snacks in it and stuff like that. And these ladies, that was kind of their, I don't know if it was a volunteer thing or a job, but they'd come and bring a little basket of goodies to it. Somebody new that moved into town, usually small towns. But do any of you remember welcome wagons? Offer an elderly person your arm, like if they're crossing the street or something. I saw my ex-husband leave a restaurant. We were standing outside of a restaurant talking, and he just walked off, and I'm like, what's going on? And he went over there and helped this little old lady to her car. Wasn't like that when I was married to him, but he got to be a really nice man in the last, 10, 20 years. Offer an elderly person or anybody, if they got kids or whatever, offer to help, like, load their car for them. Because, like, I go to Costco and I get that big old heavy stuff, and if people come up behind me and offer to help load it into my car, I am so grateful. And if you've got little kids, not just elderly people, but if you've got little kids you're struggling with or whatever, somebody offers to load your car, I mean, that's just a sweet thing to do. And I'll help when I can. I'll help other elderly people. Yeah, you take one side, I'll take the other, and we'll huck this baby in there. This one I thought was interesting. Comment if you see someone who's lost weight. I don't know. I'm mixed about that because I have had people say, you look like you've lost weight, and I haven't lost a thing, maybe even gained a little bit. And then I got to say, you haven't really lost nothing. I gained some. So I'm a little, if I have lost weight, I would be nice if somebody recognized it. But, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed emotions about that one. Unless it's very obvious that they've lost weight, then yeah, compliment them on it. That's hard work. Do you remember this? No elbows on the table. My dad, get your elbow off the table. I don't know. I still, to this day, don't think I put my elbows on the table. It's just ground into you when you're a little kid, and it just sticks with you. Don't eat with your fingers. Pizza, fried chicken. There's some things you eat with your fingers, sandwiches. But you don't just grab some mashed potatoes and, Engage in polite small talk. I embarrass the heck out of my kids. I always talk to strangers. And they're like, do you know them? No, just being friendly. Talk to the clerk or the person behind me in the line at the grocery store or the bank or whatever. I talk to people all the time. Say you're welcome. Yes. If somebody says thank you, you say you're welcome. This one, I don't remember this being the rule. Return a casserole dish with more food in it. To me, it was always return it clean and, maybe even better shape it was than when you got it, but you didn't refill it with food, unless you knew they had some issue going on, then yeah. Men always picking up the check. That's maybe a first date thing, but other than that, that's not the thing anymore. And even first dates, a lot of times it's a go Dutch kind of thing. Waiting for a woman to offer her hand before offering yours. Yeah, I appreciate that because, I got arthritis in my hands and COVID and all that. I don't necessarily want to shake hands. This is something my dad insisted on. That the guy come to the door to pick up his date. He just doesn't sit out on the curb going, nope. You get up there and you come to the door and you meet the parents and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's, at least in the South, that's still the case. Have an ashtray out for guests. When's the last time you've even seen an ashtray? They don't even have them in cars anymore. I don't own an ashtray, haven't owned an ashtray in ever that I can think of. So I've never smoked and never wanted people smoking in my house. So that's a no. The man ordering at the restaurant for a woman. No, I know what I want. I don't need you telling me what I want. Unless we've been married 30 years and I always get blah, blah, blah at this restaurant and I went to the bathroom. Okay, yeah. But for the most part, no. I'm a grown-ass woman. I can, pardon my French, I just kind of slipped out. I'm a grown woman. I can order for myself. The last one on here is Say Please, and that's number 49. But I think it's really number 50, but I missed one in there somewhere. So I'm going to add on a number 50. This is one I thought of that wasn't on this list, that back in the day, you did not talk about money. You didn't talk about how much you made, how much something cost you. That was considered very rude to ask anybody about money, to talk about money. That was just not done. So what'd you think? Did you enjoy this? I kind of thought it was a nice little blast from the past and see how far we've come. A lot of things have changed over the years. Some of them are still around, some not. I'll put Grandma Bev's link to her video talking about these same, 49 of them are the same. I added a 50th and lost one in there somewhere. So most of them are the same. Then there's that one I couldn't read that I don't know what it was. So I think we agreed a lot on things, Grandma Bev and I did. So go give her a watch, and if you haven't ever been visit her. She's a hoot. You just got to subscribe to her. And I wish I would get all the way better. I am tired of being sick. Because first I had that pulled muscle thing in my neck or went down my arm and all that. Then that started going away. And then I got bronchitis. So I've been sick. I need a new battery. I got a call, I don't know, I had to go somewhere. I went to the doctor. And on Thursday, and my car almost wouldn't start because it had been sitting there so long, and I think I need a new battery. So I was going to drive around today, take the boy out because he's getting kind of bored staying in the house all the time. And then I get a call from my friend. She's out of town going to visit her parents in Louisiana, and her alarm went off on her back window. And so she asked me to go by. I took the boy to protect me because he's like Cujo if something approaches me that he doesn't think ought to approach me. So I took him and we went for a ride and charged up my battery and went and checked her window out. Her window was fine and I got my battery charged up. And I decided to park my car in the driveway instead of in the garage just in case the battery does die. I can get it charged easier because if you pull it in the garage, you can't. It's it's got all that junk around the sides of it, so it's almost like a one-car garage. But anyway, enough chit-chat. This video is going to probably be pretty long. So I'm doing somewhat better. Want to get all the way better. So happy Memorial Day. And my dad was in World War II, but he survived, so he's more of a Veterans Day. I'll talk about him. So Memorial Days for those that we lost. And I lost a lot of friends during the Vietnam years. I'm sure you that are my age, you did too. I mean, it was 19-year-old kids that they were sending over. So thank you. Love y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.